Hello and welcome to today's episode. This is a video that I've been thinking about filming for a very long time. However, one, I've been ashamed of my past. Two, I haven't wanted people to know because I don't want you guys to judge me. Three, I hate down videos. I hate sad videos. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be serious. I want to be stupid and goofy and dumb and weird. That being said, there's also just stuff in my life that I really want to share with all you guys. I feel like there's this huge part of my life, this huge part of me and who makes me me that no one really knows on social media. And while I've been really ashamed of it in the past, now I'm freaking proud of it. I'm proud of where I came from and how far I've gone and grown, and I'm proud of who I used to be because it made me who I am today, and I can say that I did this all myself and all that good stuff. I have put it out on social media that I've been homeless for a long time, and I got out of it about 3, almost 4 years ago now, and I was homeless for almost a decade on my own. I have a whole video on it. The video is honestly really cringy, but because I'm not going to get into it in this video, I will link it in the description down below if you guys want to go watch it. In the video, however, I leave out a lot of crucial details because I just wasn't ready to share them with everyone yet. For example, the whole reason I became homeless was because my parents, I'm from Tucson, Arizona, my parents took me to Boise, Idaho, left me there literally with nothing, and I was homeless up there for years, came back down to Tucson. Now I'm back in Tucson, but I never said why. I want to say a lot of people are probably wondering, but you're probably not. The truth is, the reason why my parents brought me to Boise, Idaho is because I was addicted to heroin. Just saying that is like a weight being lifted off my shoulder. I was chin deep in the throes of heroin addiction. Does that even make sense? So I guess here's my story. I want to start this off by saying that everyone has their own road to recovery. I hate even saying recovery. I hate using any sort of like sobriety verbiage or like literature or like anything like that. I hate it when people talk about being sober. I hate 12-step programs. I hate AA. That being said, different things work for everyone. If you're someone who AA or a 12-step program has worked for, good for you. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. Keep going. For me personally, I hate all that stuff. I hate it. Never helped. I think it's cringy, honestly. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that one, but that's just the truth. I shouldn't say that. I should probably delete that out. I might delete that out. Suffice it to say that I just don't agree with 12-step programs. I don't agree with AA. I don't like it. It never worked for me. That's not how I got off of heroin. Notice I'm not saying how I got sober. And we'll get into that later. That's going to sound bad to everyone who just stopped watching right now, but just keep watching. So basically, I've always been the fat girl growing up. When I was younger, I actually had friends, but I still got made fun of a lot at school by both guys and girls for being fat. It was something that really weighed on me. It caused me to go into a deep depression. When I got into high school, I started realizing that being the funny girl kind of worked my way out of a lot of the situations that I would have got made fun of, because I was known as like the funny girl and the class clown, as well as the fat girl. But it kind of like, you know, balanced it out a little bit. In my freshman year, though, I realized even more that in addition to being the funny girl, at least at my high school, the number one thing that would make you instantly cool was drugs. Everyone did drugs. The more drugs you did, the cooler you were. The more effed up you were from drugs, the cooler you were. It was a whole thing. As stupid as it sounds now, and to some of you, it was like the more strung out on drugs you were, the more hardcore drugs you did, the harder you went with drugs and partying, the cooler you were. And when I figured that out, at first, I just started making up stuff, honestly, just to get people to like me. I made up in freshman year that I put acid in my lip gloss, and I'd put it on in class, and people would be like, oh, yeah, effing Jill, yeah, look at her, so funny doing acid in math class. And really, I was just putting on lip gloss, like, yeah, I'm cool now, guys, right? I'm not fat anymore, do you? Oh my God, that's sad. But eventually, I started to experiment with drugs. I started with like Robitussin and stuff. And I started hearing about celebrities like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen at the time, that they would lose all kinds of weight from doing cocaine. So I decided to try doing cocaine. I did other stuff like weed and stuff like that before that, but when I did coke, that's when the tables kind of turned for me. So I did coke expecting to lose weight. I did lose weight. I did a lot of coke for a year or two there. But eventually the next cool thing in my high school became to do Oxycontin. In addition to that, I finally lost my virginity when I was 16 and started dating a guy. This guy, however, hated drugs. His family was full of drug users. He hated drugs. He didn't want me to do drugs. I still did them. He was very protective, very jealous, and one day we were walking in the ghetto to a gas station, and he saw this kid, this like 12-year-old kid, staring at me. So he tried to start a fight with the kid, and the kid stabbed him in the back. He severed an artery. It was pretty serious, but he got prescribed Percocets. Now, once he tried Percocets, I was able to convince him to keep doing drugs with me, but we agreed to only stick to pain pills because in our 16, 17-year-old minds, pain pills can't be that bad because they're prescribed to you, right? So we kept doing more and more pain pills all the time. And by the way, this video is not scripted, so hopefully I hit everything I want to hit. But we kept doing pain pills all the time. And eventually one day I started to realize, like, wow, when I'm sober, I feel like crap. Like I can't move, like my legs hurt, like, and I didn't know it then, but that was withdrawals. I had no idea that pain pills and opiates had physical withdrawals where you physically got sick. Around this time we broke up. I was living on my own in my own apartment. And I had a couple friends who were dabbling in like heroin and like getting heavier into Oxycontin. And I would hear them complain about physical withdrawals. But I just thought they just made it up. I thought they made it up because they just wanted more drugs so bad. And they wanted people to feel bad for them and to like help them get more drugs. And I just didn't register in my mind that even if they were making it up, it was addiction. Like I didn't get it, I guess. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just didn't get it. I kept doing pain pills. I turned to Oxycontin. I started doing Oxy 80s. I started getting worse and worse withdrawals, and I started to finally realize that withdrawals are real. And not only are they real, they're fucking even worse than anyone could ever describe. It's the worst thing you'll ever feel in your life. It is, oh my God, I could sit here and try to explain it forever, but it is hell. Around that time, when I finally realized that yes, I'm having withdrawals from Oxycontin, people started explaining to me that heroin's the same thing. All opiates are opiates. You're having opiate withdrawals. Heroin will get rid of the withdrawals, and heroin is cheaper. Because at that time, an 80 milligram Oxycontin was like $80. And I needed a couple of them at least just to get me well, let alone last throughout the day. Finally, one day I was so sick. I had a bunch of friends over at my house. They were all doing heroin. I didn't have any money, and they convinced me to finally give in and try heroin. When I did and I realized that I do feel better, I kept doing it because it was cheaper. Honestly, the whole time I liked pills better, but heroin was cheaper, more easily accessible, and I just kept doing it. I fell into like this funk of waking up every day, withdrawing and calling my dealer, crying and begging for him to sell me something or front me something or whatever, and then pawning whatever I could and trying to get money and losing my job. So I was constantly trying to like pawn my stereo in my car and all this stuff. I'd go over to my parents' house. I would try to steal money from them. It was really bad. I never told my parents what was going on. They never told me they knew. But my sister lived in Idaho. She got a job as an engineer there in Boise, Idaho. And she came to visit, and I guess they were discussing it, and they thought I was partying too much. They didn't know I was actually addicted to heroin, but they thought I was just partying too much. So they sent me to Idaho for the summer with my sister. I didn't want to go. I was crying, but they told me if I didn't go, they would cut all ties. I can't remember exactly why I went. I didn't really give a fuck about anything besides heroin, so I don't really know why I went. I guess I figured I'd find more in Idaho and it wouldn't be that big of a deal and maybe it'd be a fun adventure. I don't know, but I went. On the plane ride to Idaho with my sister, I began to panic because I knew I was going to start withdrawing. I ended up confessing to her that I was actually addicted to heroin and like, look, bitch, I'm going to go into fucking serious withdrawals. I need to stop cussing in my videos. I can't help it. All right. The first day I was there, I was asking people if they could get heroin. They told my parents. I cried and cried and cried. I did not want to be there. I was there for like only a month, but eventually I started to actually like it. I was like, you got free food, you got smoke breaks. I smoked a lot of cigarettes at the time. I quit also like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like you didn't have to worry about anything. You just woke up, went to groups, took your meds. They had me on Suboxone, and ate. So it was great. When I got out of rehab, I went into AA. And that is where my strong dislike for AA began. I think I'm going to save all that for another video, though, why I don't agree, why I hate AA, etc. But I lived for my sister for about a month. After that, my sister decided that she hated Idaho. She wanted to move back, or actually she wanted to move to Vegas. And my parents said that I could not come back home. I begged and begged. They said even if I found my own ticket home, I couldn't stay with them, so I would just be homeless there. So I ended up staying in Idaho. Living with a guy that I met on the street who lived in his car and was very, very abusive. Again, I'll save that for another video because that's a whole story of its own. I was on Suboxone and I was homeless. I ended up relapsing on pain pills, and for a while there I would just wake up, panhandle, go get oxys, and that was it. That was my day every day. Wake up withdrawing, go panhandle, get oxys, and that's it. Finally, one day I thought, I can't do this anymore. Like, how am I ever going to get out of being homeless? I wake up so sick that I need oxy or something. So I heard about methadone maintenance, and I thought, how perfect would that be? I still get to do what I do, but I'm not sick, so I can go look for a job. I can go live my life. I can get out of being homeless and still be well and not have to go through withdrawals. Because my biggest fear of all time was having to go cold turkey through withdrawals. I couldn't, oh my God. If you haven't been through opiate withdrawals, you do not understand how freaking horrible they are. It's the worst thing you could ever imagine. It's like having the flu and like 8 different sicknesses all at once. It is so bad. So I got on methadone, and there an even worse downfall, I guess, began. I mean, not really. It just kind of stabilized the condition where I was at. I got on methadone, and it really, really, really effed me up. I took like 20 milligrams at first, and I couldn't even drive away from the clinic. I was sleeping in my car outside the clinic. I went all the way up to 140 milligrams, though. And I stayed there for a long time, for about 8 or 9 years. Well, the entire time I was homeless, I was on about 140 milligrams of methadone a day, and I was like a walking zombie. I never really got jobs or kept them because I was nodding off all the time. All I could think about was eating and sleeping. The first couple years I was on methadone, I would eat a gallon or 2, or not a gallon, but like the big sizes of mint chocolate chip ice cream a day, and that was it. Nothing else. No, not even fast food, nothing. Just gallons of mint chocolate chip ice cream a day. I gained like 130 pounds in the time I was on methadone. Right off the bat. So much. First of all, from eating so bad, but also because methadone greatly slows your metabolism down. It really slows everything down so much. I had really bad sleep apnea from it. I was smoking like 2 packs a day. It was not a good situation. Every day I would wake up, panhandle, get cigarettes, get my methadone, get ice cream or whatever. You know, that was my day-to-day life for years, for like 9 years. Find a spot to sleep in. And again, there's more about what it was like being homeless and that sort of thing in the video in the description below. Eventually I started to wean off, mainly because of the weight I gained. Everyone told me when I got off methadone too I would lose that 130 pounds. So I started to wean myself off. I also just didn't like the life I was living. Like, I was a literal walking zombie, but I thought I was sober. I felt sober. Looking back, I was not. I was nodding off the whole day, burning holes in my shirt because I'd fall asleep smoking a cigarette. It was bad. Eventually, I weaned from 140 milligrams down to about 3 milligrams. And that is when I got my own apartment, and I got a job, and I stopped taking methadone at that time. Even though I was only at 3 milligrams a day of methadone, I still went through a period of withdrawal. It wasn't typical withdrawal with like the pain and the aches and all that, but it was, I felt so fatigued, so fatigued. It was so hard for me to work. I was a delivery driver at my job, and just getting out of the car to bring people food was a effing feat. Like, I had to talk myself up to get out of my car to stand up. Like, I was so fatigued. And I was so depressed. Let's talk about that. Like, I wanted to kill myself. All I thought about was suicide. I was in the darkest depression I've ever been in. But I worked through it. That lasted about 8 months or so to a year. And I worked through it. And eventually my mind got better. The fatigue went away and everything got better. I think the only reason it lasted so long was because I was on methadone for literally 9 years of my life. I wasn't using heroin during the time I was on methadone. I was just on methadone, a lot of methadone, and smoking cigarettes, and that was it. But it was enough to make me a walking zombie. So now we're at this point where not only am I finally off methadone, but I also had a job and had my own apartment and was living in an apartment with running water and electricity, which I hadn't had in like 10 years. It was a lot to get used to, just being sober and being awake the whole day and not constantly falling asleep, plus having an apartment and I got dogs to take care of. Honestly, that's what got me through a lot of it, was having animals to take care of. That really helped. And that is why I cherish my dogs so much, is because they really got me through that time. The time of my deep depression and all that stuff, the thing I just kept fighting for was to take care of my dogs. It also gave me something to do, something to help keep my mind right, a purpose, if you will. It was like daily tasks. I remember calling my mom. We've been estranged for so long, but when I finally got off methadone, she finally started talking to me again, and now we're good. But I would call her and I would just be so like stressed out. Like, how do people do this? How do people wake up and go to the store? Let alone wake up and shower and brush their hair and take care of themselves and eat something and take their dogs out to go potty and go to the store. How does one even do just that? That was so hard to me, so hard. I struggled with it so much for like another year, like a full 2 years of me getting off methadone. I was still just learning to do basic tasks because, like I said, it wasn't just being on methadone, it was also being homeless. You gotta understand, like, my everyday life for 10 years purely contained just me surviving, just me going out and panhandling to get food for that day and cigarettes. And that was it. That was my worry, and finding a place to stay. Now all of a sudden I have all that down. I also quit smoking before this, but I have all that down. But now I gotta feed animals and feed myself and do like normal human things. Like shower and brush my hair and maybe put on some makeup, or, you know, it was really, really hard. And a lot of you who have never gone through this are probably wondering how that's so hard. It was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. Harder than being homeless, honestly. It was just getting myself up and going every day and doing errands, running errands, paying bills, doing stuff, going to work. It was really hard. Really, really hard. I keep talking about it because I want to really hear it. Was really hard. But eventually, I kept doing it, and eventually I got used to it. And I kept working, and I moved up in my job and became a manager and got promoted and worked full-time. And now it's been almost 4 years since this happened, and I have my own place. I pay my rent on my own. I pay my bills on my own. I have my own car. I still take care of my dogs. I have my own stuff, my own furniture, you know. That may not sound like a lot to a lot of you, but to me, to wake up in a freaking bed every day and not on a sidewalk or on a bench or in a park, or that is, and not only wake up in a bed, but to say it's my bed and I own that bed and I did it myself, it's amazing. And yeah, I'm cool with my parents now, but they were taught that you should not help an addict, which is probably true. Honestly, at the time I hated it. I would call them begging for a gift card to McDonald's or something, and they would refuse to help me, and I hated it, and I could not understand. Looking back, I do understand. When someone is in the throes of addiction, any sort of help like that is just going to enable them and make them keep going on the pattern that they're living. And yeah, it may have took me a freaking long ass time, but eventually I got out of it and was able to take care of myself. And that may not be true if they didn't not help me. So to be able to stand here today in my house, I have a townhouse. It's in the ghetto still, but you know, it's 2-bedroom. I have my own backyard. I have my own washer dryer. I have my own couch, my own big screen TV, my own laptop, my own filming equipment, even though it's really, really cheap and the audio and video are very terrible, and I apologize for that. My own dogs, they're healthy, they're good. I'm feeding them, I'm taking care of them, I'm getting up and going to work every day, I'm taking care of myself, I'm doing my hair, my makeup, I'm doing photo shoots, I'm doing all this stuff now. I feel like even after explaining that, you guys don't understand how far I've come. And that's why I wanted to make this video. That's why I wanted to finally talk about this. Because to go from being a homeless heroin addict to being where I am today, even though, yeah, I still live in the ghetto. Yeah, I still live paycheck to paycheck. But I never, if you would have told me when I was living in a park and doing heroin and panhandling and on methadone or whatever, that one day I would pay my own rent, I would have my own house, I would have my own things, I'd have my own furniture, I'd have all this stuff, I'd be doing photo shoots, I would have an audience. I would have thought you were insane. I thought I was going to die that way for a long, long time. But I didn't. I got out of it somehow. And I'm here now. And I really wanted to share this all with you guys, just so you know, like, I come from the ghetto. I come from the bottom. And yeah, this may be like a humble brag, but bitch, I'm here now. And I think I deserve that humble brag after the hell I went through. So, I guess, here is my introduction to the real me. I'm not just some Instagram model that you guys may see or whatever. I come from the dirt poor, the ghetto, the very bottom. I come from bed bugs and syringes and panhandling and flying a sign lying saying I was pregnant just to get drugs. I come from stealing and selling drugs and hanging out with really, really bad people. I come from a really, really bad place. And I need that to be known so you guys can fully understand where I'm at now. And also, more importantly, so anyone else there can know that you got this, bitch. You fucking got this. You're a bad bitch no matter where you are in life. Just keep believing that. So I really just wanted to share my story. I feel like if I saw someone like me a long time ago, it would have helped me a lot. Hopefully some of you guys can gain inspiration from this or whatever. And if you have similar stories, please let me know. Quickly, just why I don't call myself sober. I don't agree that because you're addicted to one thing, you're addicted to everything. So I do still drink. You guys have seen videos of me drinking. But that's because I could drink once a month with friends and then not drink again for another month. Just because I was addicted to heroin and opiates doesn't mean I'm going to be addicted to alcohol and weed and coke or whatever. I don't do all that stuff. I'm just saying. I liked opiates. And also, I had no idea about the withdrawals. So, could I ever do opiates again? No. If I did any kind of opiate again, it would be bad. I may not go back to where I was, but it would be very, very, very tempting. Can I drink once in a while without becoming an alcoholic? Yes. That is one of the main things that I don't agree with about AA. Of course, there are some people who are addicted to anything and everything, and those people should, of course, abstain from everything. But everyone's an individual. Everyone deals with things differently. Everyone goes through different things, has different experiences, etc. For me, personally, I was addicted to opiates, not alcohol, not weed, not coke, not etc. And that is one big reason why I didn't want to come out about this, because I didn't want you guys to see me drinking. I didn't want to come out and say I used to be a heroin addict, now I'm not, and everyone construe that as I'm sober now and see me drinking and criticize me for it. Granted, I still consider myself sober because I'm not doing drugs. I'm not addicted to any sort of substance, except for maybe caffeine. But for appearance's sake, and for the sake of argument, I don't want to say I'm sober, if that makes sense, because I do still drink once in a while socially. Anyway, it means so much to me to finally come out about who I am and what I've been through. It really, really, I feel like it is a coming out. Like I just came out because it's something that I've been genuinely hiding and not talking about for a long time. So anyway, my name is Jillian Rogue. I am an ex-heroin addict and an ex-homeless person. And I'm freaking here now, bitch. Why do I try to stop cussing but then cuss in the same sentence? I don't know. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to sound off in the comments below. Let me know if you guys have had any of the same issues or any of your thoughts, really. Please subscribe and click the notification bell so you can always see when I upload. Also, hit like if you like this video. Again, talk to me in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys. And other than that, for all my little poop kings and poop queens, I will see you later.